Well, good morning. Today's talk title is Heading Due North. So I'm going to put this up here just to, when we get to that part in the talk. And today we're wrapping up our ocean theme, which has been celebrating, by looking at the metaphor of a compass to find due north, because that's how our people on ships out there navigate a lot of times, that and the North Star, which I did teach my children how to find that. I don't know if they remember or not. And from a spiritual and metaphysical standpoint, we know that, or we could say that north represents what?
North.
God.
Santa Claus.
God, when we're going due north.
Santa Claus.
God, Santa Claus. Well, you know, when you're a kid, right? So anyway, due north is our representation. Staying, on compass is our representation of metaphysical idea of God. So today we're going to explore how to turn our internal compass due north to keep our gaze on God. And I want to set the tone for today's message with a reading by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in a book titled The Art of Life. It used to be formerly titled This Thing Called Life. I think Allison has. Do you have the thing for me? The saying? No, I thought you were looking it up. Okay. So.
No, we found it.
Oh, you did find it.
Second star to the right and straight on to morning.
Second star to the right and straight on to morning, which I'm sure is due north. Okay, so here's Ernest Holmes. We can imagine a fish being told that he is surrounded by water, but not quite realizing what this means. We can imagine such a fish swimming north, south, east, and west in search of water. If we think of this fish as a person, we can even imagine him looking up books on fish lore, studying fish psychology and philosophy, always endeavoring to discover just where these waters of life are and how to approach them. Perhaps some wise old fish might say, it has come down to us through tradition that in ancient times our ancestors knew about a wonderful ocean of life. They prophesied a day when we all shall live in the waters of life, happily forever. And can't we imagine all the other fish getting together, rolling their eyes, wiggling their tails, looking wise and mysterious, and beginning to chant, "Oh, water, 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 we beseech you to reveal yourself to us. We beseech you to flow around us and through us, even as you did in the days of our revered ancestors." As a matter of fact, we are in the water of infinite life, just as the fish is in the ocean. The spirit of life is all around us. It flows through us. It permeates everything. It is the essence of all form and flows through every condition, and yet we're still looking for it. What we look for, we unwittingly look at, but we fail to recognize it. It's right before us. We're immersed in it. So today I want to spend some time using our compass to recognize that which we already are, perhaps, and that which we already are unwittingly looking at. Ours is a special compass because it has 5 points represented by each letter of the word north. So that's what we're going to be looking at. When we can remember to keep our gaze upon these 5 points of the compass, then we will recognize that which we already see, and we'll not only navigate the ocean of life, but really sail a bright on the ocean of life. Practicing religious science does not mean that we'll never have challenges in our lives, but it does mean that we'll have the spiritual tools available to us to face them, to sail through them, to use our monthly metaphor. So, to make this a very, very practical moment for you today, I want you to just take a moment right now, and I want you to think about something in your life that may look challenging. If you don't have something, I'm sure one of your neighbors here will give you something to think about, right? They could loan you one of their challenges. I'm sure all of us have something that is a little bit of a challenge in our life right now, don't you think? Okay, so now keep this issue in mind as we go through our 5-point compass, because I'm going to ask you questions as we go about it, okay? All right, so let's start with N. God is near. In an article that appeared in The Science of Mind magazine, Ernest Holmes said, "Learn to trust the presence as you trust the simple fact that you are living. Do not be afraid to throw yourself in complete abandonment and with perfect acceptance into its soft embrace, for it is closer to you than your very breath, and nearer to you than your hands and feet. It is right where you are." Meister Eckhart, the German mystic in the late 1200s, said, God is nearer to me than I am my own self. My life depends upon God being near me. He is also present in a stone or a log of wood, only they do not know it. Very similar to the Native American axiom that says, God sleeps in the rocks, awakens in the plants, walks around in the animals, but knows itself in humankind. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. That is so amazing. It just shows the transition there. We don't believe that God is near, as close, but separate, but that God is near, as inside, here. That's what we believe. We don't believe that there is anything separate from God and us. We are divine expressions of the one. And there's no more important time to remember than when a tragedy strikes. Be it an act of nature such as an earthquake or a flood or a hurricane or an accident such as what just happened in San Francisco with that jet that just, that was truly an accident. Or the train derailments, Canada and Spain. I mean, these are just recent. And, we go back to the Boston bombing, the terrorism. And these are acts of just tragedy. And the realization that God is not away from us, but within us and never separate from us, may not remove our grief over these situations, but will rob our grief, this is a quote from Ernest Holmes, rob our grief of hopelessness. And Ernest Holmes wrote that in The Science of Mind. Remember the words of the earlier quote of Ernest Holmes, do not be afraid to throw yourself in complete abandonment and with perfect acceptance into its soft embrace. For it is closer to you than your very breath, and nearer to you than your hands and feet. It is right where you are. Apply your situation to this first compass point that we have in for just a moment now. Knowing that God is right where you are, and that where God is, all is well. Okay, so let's move on to O, the second letter. Origin, the origin of all. God is the origin of all. Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, there is a universal mind, spirit, intelligence that is the origin of everything. It is first cause. It is God. This universal life and energy finds an outlet in and through all that is energized and through everything that lives. There is one life back of everything that lives. There is one energy back of everything that is energized. This energy is in everything. This doesn't say that the universal mind, spirit, intelligence originates in some things and not in other things, but in all things. It doesn't say that this energy is in select items, but not in others. It says it is in everything. Thus, everything, everyone is of God. Therefore, everything, everyone is born in original goodness, us included. Forget the born in original sin idea. Remember the Bible and the Old Testament. And we always said that our children, we're not original sinners, we're original blessings. We are born, we move to the born in original innocence idea. So what a shift would take place if we could look at every single situation in our lives and say, this originated in God. Emma Curtis Hopkins said, this too is good. This too is God. This too is for me, and I demand to see the blessing in it. How about that? So look at your situation right now. See it as originating in God, not something separate from yourself, but all a part of its originating in goodness. And let's say this together. This too is good. This too is good. This too is God.
This too is God.
This too is for me.
This too is for me.
And I demand to see the blessing in it.
And I demand to see the blessing in it.
Okay. So let's move on to R. God is ready to respond. The law is poised and ready to respond to our consciousness. And in fact does, whether we know it, like it, want it, or not. What are you giving it to respond to? Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, our mental acceptances should be filled with conviction, warmth, color, and imagination. The creative power responds to feeling, this is important, more quickly than to any other mental attitude. We stay in our heads so much of the time, but when we add the feeling, wow. I think one of the greatest lines in the first version of the movie, of The Secret, which has Esther Hicks, it was removed in the second version, but she says, you can tell the way you feel if the things you are moving toward will please you when you get to them, when you get there. So if you're moving towards something and you have a feeling that you're going to be pleased when you get there, then you're going the right way. How are you feeling about your situation right now? Will you be pleased when you get to where you are going? It's a good question. If not, right now, change the way you feel. Perhaps the work we've done so far has begun to create a shift in your feelings about your situation. And that's good because now you're beginning to plant different, more life-affirming seeds into the ready-to-respond law. It's ready to respond all the time. Remember the emotional gauge that's in The Secret, allowing and disallowing emotions, the shift from life-affirming to non-affirming? There's the life-affirming ones are joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation, connection, passion, enthusiasm, eagerness, happiness, positive, expectation, centeredness, calm, belief, optimism, hopefulness, contentment. Those are life-affirming. Those are all of those feelings and emotions that are life-affirming. The non-life-affirming are boredom, pessimism, frustration, irritation, impatience, overwhelmment, doubt, worry, blame, anger, revenge, rage, jealousy, guilt, unworthiness, fear, despair, powerlessness. So when you notice that you're feeling one of those, turn it around and go, whoa, this is not life-affirming. This is not attracting to me what I want to experience in my life. So I'm going to go back to that top one, and I'm going to go from passion and joy and from belief and hopefulness. And I'm going to stay there because I know that that's going to track into my life what I want to experience. So let's go onward to T. God is truth. Holmes writes, again in The Science of Mind, the spiritual man needs no healing. Health is an omnipresent reality, and when the obstructions that hinder healing are removed, it will be found that health was there all of the time. So in your work, do not feel that you must heal anyone, for there's nothing to be healed, right? Your only responsibility is to uncover the truth. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It says know the truth, not acknowledge that there is a truth, not say, yeah, intellectually, yeah, yes to the idea that there's the truth, but know the truth in your heart. Ernest Holmes said, truth known is instantly demonstrated. Wow, think about that. Truth known is instantly demonstrated. That's how Jesus was able to do the things that he did, because he knew the truth without a doubt. He knew it. He embodied it. He believed it. And the miracles, raising people from the dead, curing blindness, all of those miracles that he did. Why? Because if you can take truth from the mind to the heart, it automatically changes and alters. Embodiment of the truth is the most powerful thing on earth. Listen to this. Every circumstance or condition in your life has been created by a false belief that can be healed and transformed by an awareness of the truth. A greater idea will always heal a lesser one. Our old limiting beliefs don't necessarily need to be dug out of our consciousness. We don't have to know what got us where we are. We really don't. That's the difference between psychologists today and some psychologists and where they want you to go back and relive everything and look at. We don't believe that that's necessary. That's not necessarily. We just have to to focus on what it is we know is true right now. But if you are the kind that needs to know where they are, you can simply look at your life. It really is a perfect mirror of your deeply held beliefs. But instead, lift your mind to a higher plane and build a new awareness about yourself. Focus your energy and attention on the truth, and its power in your life will become greater than that of any false belief, any old false belief. Remember what Einstein said too. A problem cannot be solved from the level it was created. So if where we are created what we're experiencing, we don't like that, that's when we raise our consciousness and our awareness to a different level and know the truth at that level. And that's what we can use to solve that problem. Ernest Holmes' mantra in the textbook, in one form or another, and I know if you've taken any classes, you've heard this, and it's the answer to practically every question our practitioner students are asked on their written and oral exams. And that answer is perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. That's it. Perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. Bring a truth statement to your challenge right now. Let me give you some examples. In God, all things are possible. The power of love is the strongest power on earth. Dynamic, vibrant, and radiant health is the natural state, is my natural state. The universe is overflowing with abundance. Harmony and beauty are at the center of all things. Now look away from your challenge and look only at the truth statement. Focus on that for a moment. So finally, we are at H. We are at heart. God is at the heart of all life. In The Spiritual Universe in You, Ernest Holmes wrote, "Love alone shall discover the heart of God at the heart of man. Love alone shall reveal the self to the self and find enthroned in the high citadel of the secret place of God in our own heart that beneficence which embraces the whole world. When love's activity is no longer confined to the littleness that restricts but extends to everything and everyone, then shall we hear its song sung throughout the circuits of our life." A nurse on a pediatric ward, before listening to the little one's chest, would plug the stethoscope into their ears and let them listen to their own hearts. Their eyes would always light up with awe. But she never got a response to equal 4-year-old David's. She placed the disc over his heart. "Listen," she said. "What do you hear? What do you suppose that is?" He drew his eyebrows together in a puzzled look, and he looked up at her, lost in the mystery of the strange tap, tap, tapping deep in his chest. Then his face broke out into a huge, wondrous grin. "Is that God knocking?" Many of you have met my dad. A couple of you spent lots of time with my dad, and he's really pretty remarkable at age 87. And I am amazed at how computer illiterate he is, being on his 6th computer. However, I found myself recently feeling pretty terrible for not having as much patience with him as I would like to when trying to help him over the phone, no less, to open and save pictures I had sent to him via email of the wedding that he'd asked for. And there were some other functions on his machine, and it just isn't clicking, with the translations from the old to the new, and it doesn't quite understand all of the little things. I don't know that I would either, but I would, play with it until I figured it out. It's hard to do that when you're trying to tell someone else to do it. And I was feeling badly that I was getting frustrated, and he felt bad that he wasn't getting it as quickly as he could, and that he was wasting my time. That's what he felt like, he was taking up my time, which made me feel even worse. It was just one of those things where all those disempowering, feelings were coming in. So I stopped that. I mentally stopped that, and I did a visualization, and I bridged my mind between his heart and mine. In my mind, I visualized his heart and mine, and I built a bridge, and I put flowers all over that bridge, and I just sent love on that bridge. And I just pictured that image, and it moved me instantly from feeling annoyed, feeling impatient, to feeling connected at a heart level. A place that felt so much better, and I think for both of us, because we were able to let it go, not get so frantic about it at that moment. And, with a promise that he would continue to try, and I would find another way to get the pictures to him. So, you know, it's just, yeah, well, we'll figure it out. We'll do that, or I'm going to burn a disk for him because he can operate that. It's just easier than email because they come sideways through email and doesn't know how to, it's just and it's okay.
And you can pick up like an 8 gig flash drive for under $10.
Yeah,
And that's 8 gigs instead of 4.7.
that's true. That's true. And he's just learning how to use flash drives. So it's all an exciting world for him, and it's still at 87, which I think is awesome. So anyway, that was one of my challenges recently. So take your challenge. Today, take your challenge. Take your entire life and turn your compass north to remember that God is near. God is the origin of all. God is ready to respond. God is truth. And God is the heart of all. Do you see your situation any differently now than you did at the beginning of our talk today? You may do all of these things and feel differently about your challenge, but still not know how to resolve a situation. But the good news is that you don't have to know how. That's God's job. You just have to know what it is you desire. The how is up to Spirit. But staying true to North, you've put your life in God's hands. And those are good hands. And that's all you really need to know at this point. And so it is.